Hello, and welcome to Can't Find My Brain for the Fog with Kendra
and Gina, discussing love, loss, and life after.
All right, welcome back. We are in episode 20.
Woo.
We thought this would be a good chance to kind of, talk about where we want this to go next year and maybe get a little bit of
where it's been.
Yeah, a little bit of where it's been and kind of go from there. So,
I was thinking, I was telling Kendra before we started recording that my church sermon today was, what do you need to surrender in 2026?
Yeah.
And I started thinking, the words, I don't really know what this means, but the words surrender my sorrow came to mind. So Kendra and I were bantering back and forth about what that means, and I don't really know what it means, but God laid it on my heart to surrender my sorrow in 2026. Whether that means, say yes to opportunities that I was fearful of before, or just resolve to try to be happy, even though I know I'm joyful in most situations. I know that I'm really not happy, and I think that's normal. So I don't know what surrender my sorrow is going to look like.
Right.
But I'm going to try.
Right. And sometimes that's part of it. It's just, sorry, I apologize. I have allergies, always the season in Kentucky. But maybe the fact that, just letting God move in whatever the plan is part of surrendering your sorrows. Like, doing things that you recognize, like you said, maybe you weren't immediately going to do because you were fearful or because, I don't know that if you carry guilt per se, but I know that some people do carry guilt, and that kind of holds us back from doing things.
Yeah.
And maybe that's part of it. Maybe God is saying, you've got to surrender all of that and see what we can do with this.
Yeah. I still think I'm not. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I don't know what God's plan is for you, for sure. I don't think God would ask us to, completely quit grieving, I guess, if that's to say.
No.
Don't want us to surrender our love, for certain.
No, yeah.
And with the love comes part of it, because we do have that absence. But maybe it's a way for God to show us what we can do in that absence.
Yeah.
How
to surrender. Well, just surrender my sorrow. Maybe be honest about it.
Yeah,
and that
maybe.
We talked earlier about an uncle of yours that, had lost his wife, and he said he was okay. What people need to recognize when I say I'm okay,
I'm doing all right, but I'm not doing awesome.
I'm not stellar. I'm not at death's door. I'm not rolling in the bed, miserable, but I'm also not having a party.
And I think, and I don't want to speak for him, but necessarily this cousin of mine keeps getting maybe the assumption that he's not doing as good as he lets everybody think he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we all get that. I do think people either think that I must not be doing nearly as well as I pretend to let on. I don't think I'm pretending to let on one way or the other. I think I'm just living my life, and I'm trying to live my life in a way that would please God and please my husband, and please myself too, while respecting his memory. But I also think I'm also not the person that's going to be in the bed all the time, and that's just not. That doesn't do me any good. That's not what the plan is. I know that's not what God's plan is for my life. And I know that would make my husband sad.
Right.
And this cousin of mine's the same way. That's not what he wants to do, because he knows that's, we talked about there's still a purpose. We both still have a purpose for being here. We don't know why God took our spouses before us. But it happened. And now we're still here trying to figure out how to live our lives the best we can.
And just because you're getting up in the morning and going about your day and doing fruitful things doesn't mean you're not grieving.
Right.
And I think yesterday I shared with our group, the Crappy Club, that I chose to clean out my husband's sock drawer for the first time in 4.5 years while watching the movie Christmas Shoes. Well, not a good combination. And I chose to get rid of some paperwork and things like that. It was a really sad day. So, you're going to have those days, and you're not it. I don't think I ever have a day that I'm just elated.
Right.
But I have more days of status quo than I do terrible.
Right.
But like I said, I think you're right. From the outside looking in, people think you should be in bed, covered up your head.
And
can't
if
get
you're
out.
not, then you're not really, you're either
Yeah.
not letting yourself feel, or you didn't care. Like, the people
Right.
who know you cared about them, so they just think that maybe you're not letting yourself feel what you're feeling. They
Mm-hmm.
think that maybe you're in denial. And I don't think that is. I think there's a certain, people talk about, we talked about once, you and I were talking about once about the stages of grief and acceptance, and I remember you saying something, you said something about, I don't think I'm at acceptance yet. I don't see acceptance as, like, being okay with the fact that they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, none of us are okay with it. We don't like it. I see acceptance of more of, like, we can't really do anything to change it.
Right.
That doesn't mean we're okay with it, and given the choice, we'd love to have them back in our lives. But I think
And-
there's a point where we recognize that we can't change it,
Right.
and we're trying to accept that this is how our life is now, and live in a way that, is the best that we can.
Yeah, and I think and I'm not even sure, I'm still not at this place. I think what I mean by not accepting is I think I still wake up in the mornings sometimes and say, God, you can undo this. You can bring him back. I'm not at that place yet where I say, oh, he'd never want to come back. He's in heaven. I know that in my head.
Right.
But in my heart, I say, I still want him back here on this earth with me, living his life. And I'm still not at that. Some days I'm accepting that
Right.
there's
And I think
nothing I can do about it. And then other days I'm thinking, God, you can fix this. You can fix this. Fix it. But he doesn't fix it.
Yeah.
And that's why I think the surrender, the sorrow, I think that's, our whole sermon today was about, being desperate for God, that we should never, ever get to the place where we're not desperate for God, that he's the first person we should cry out to. He's the first person we should run to. He's the one that understands everything we're going through, not to preach, because, we've told you in the beginning of this podcast that we're Christians. I do not know how anyone copes with death that does not have
Right.
the knowledge of heaven. And that's the last thing the pastor left with us, is that God can handle this. God may not choose to answer your prayers in the time that you ask him to answer them. He may not choose to answer the way you answer them, but he can handle everything because he is the God of eternity. He conquered death, and I have to cling to that more. Maybe that's what I mean by surrendering my sorrow. I need to just look to heaven, and I've been trying to do that, but some days I fail.
It's a process.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is a process. I don't think any of us do it 100% right at the time.
Right.
I don't think I ever have those moments where I'm like, you can undo this, because I'm kind of a very practical person, and I just feel like in my head that, I don't know, my head that doesn't work that way in my head. But I do think I have those moments of, like, it feels like it's not real, or you have just that brief moment. And I remember there was a TV show I was watching once, and the woman was a widow, and there was a guy that she was talking to that's a friend of hers, and she said that to him, something about, I still wake up in the morning and there's a second where I forget. And so I don't know that I necessarily forget, I don't know if that's exactly how I would describe it, but I do think there are moments where you're just like, and we've talked about this, you're just like, oh, they're they're at work, or they're
in Australia.
Like, sometimes you just have that moment, and you don't necessarily feel as sad, I guess, because your brain has tricked you a little bit.
That's true. I didn't realize how much I did pretend till probably this holiday season. This is my 4th Christmas without Tim, and I realized, I started to say how much I've been holding my breath, but I realized how much I have been pretending, because I basically, so it's not that I can put him out of my mind,
Right.
but I put his death out of my mind.
Yeah.
Like, I think I pretend, like you said, he's on a trip.
I think it's our brain protecting us.
Yeah, and when I do
So we
that,
don't feel
because if I sat here and focused on him not being here, I probably would not get out of bed in the morning.
And I think that's part of, like, you can't focus on that. You have to focus on everything else. And I do think that that's something that somebody who hasn't been through it exactly doesn't realize that. I think I asked my therapist this once about it, whether or not it's like being in denial. And she said no. She said it's just part of surviving and coping with
That
it.
must
She
be
said your
survival.
body's your body's trying to cope. But she said, I don't think you're not. She said, you're clearly dealing with it. It's not that you're not dealing with his death. She said, it's just the way that your body is, kind of coping with this. So I think it's normal. I don't think it's abnormal. I do think this season, we talked about this before, that last episode about people feeling odd about holidays, and everybody always feels a little bit melancholy because it's never like you remember it when you were a kid, and you're always kind of chasing
like you see
that
on TV.
You're chasing that elusive like perfect Christmas, right?
Everybody in the perfect Christmas
but
pajamas.
I do think I have felt a little bit more of the melancholy this year. It's the only way I can describe it, and I don't know if that's the right way to describe it. But it's not like I'm not really sad. It's not I wouldn't say sadness per se, but kind of a sadness. Like I don't know how to explain it. And so the only word I could think of was the melancholy. The melancholy is kind of just what I'm feeling. It's not like it's just kind of been there on the edge of everything of like it's just not quite right.
I think the longer I go, the more real it becomes.
Yeah,
and I guess that's what I was saying. The harder it gets to pretend. And I know this Christmas, I just really tried to be present. Like, it really makes me sad when I hear people say, I'm so glad Christmas is over. I was so stressed at Christmas. If Christmas makes you stressed, you're doing Christmas wrong.
Right. Absolutely.
And, Christmas we have an honest reason for Christmas making us sad because we've got people missing.
Right.
Anybody who's got somebody missing at Christmas, I can see them kind of wishing it was over because it is so family focused. But then I think we're missing the reason for the season. The reason for the season that Jesus Christ died for us and he gave us eternity. If God can handle eternity, he can handle our everyday. And at Christmas, I just wanted, I spent time with my mom. I spent time with my family. I spent time with my brother, my niece.
Togetherness.
My niece even went to church with me. I was so excited about that. But I also heard something this holiday season. I'm sure you've seen it on Facebook. I thought it was really good though. But what about if every time we think of them, what if they're in heaven telling a story about us? I thought that was so cool. Because he's telling stories about me right and left because every time I think about him, and we have stories to tell, but, it just makes heaven so tangible.
What kind of stories is he telling us?
I'm scared. I hope God can hear them. No, it's so tangible. It makes heaven so, I think a lot of people still don't believe heaven is real. And that's your right. I don't know how you do it. What my husband would want for me keeps me going every day.
Right.
And what I know God has waiting for me keeps me awake. It keeps me going every day. How would I keep going regardless? Yeah. I know you feel the same.
I do think that, like I said, and I've said this before, that a factor in part of how I try to live now is because, I want to be in a way that my husband will be proud of me. We've talked about whether or not our spouses can see us. I don't know if I buy that they can, but maybe they can. And the only reason I say I don't know if I buy that they can is because I would be really sad if I thought he could see me and see, like, the struggle. Because that would make him feel sad and bad. Because my husband was always really trying to, like, protect me from that.
Yeah.
And that cousin I was talking to, he was like, we don't know. Maybe God has worked it out a way that they don't necessarily feel that sadness. And they can still see us on the good, and cheer us on. And, maybe they're on their knees praying for it. We just don't know. And I think that's valid. You never know. Like, we don't know. And that's okay. Like,
my good friend Susan said to me one time after Tim died, because I said just what you said. I said, I know he can't see me in heaven because it would make him sad. She goes, well, no, wait a minute. I think I've explained this to you. She said, when you're an adult, you say, that kid's crying over spilled milk.
What?
When adults see young kids crying over something that's minuscule, it doesn't make us sad. We say they're crying over something minuscule. Well, in heaven, everything we experience on this earth is minuscule.
And that's what we were...
And he could be up in heaven going, oh, Gina, that financial struggle, ha, 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 that's nothing.
Right.
And I'm thankful that other than I get freaked out about it, I don't have financial struggles other than I just need to watch my spending. But
don't we all?
But I look around it and I see people that do, and I see people that are raising kids, and I think, okay, but I think when they're in heaven, everything that we experience on earth
is much smaller.
Is nothing. So plus, they could see us.
They can see the big picture. Yeah, and that was something else that my cousin and I were talking about. They can see a big picture that we don't see.
Yeah.
So maybe they can just see that this is just another part. It could be. We don't know. We won't know until we get there.
What's that? Our light and momentary troubles is,
Right.
Because I thought a verse I'd claimed for the years, joy comes in the morning. I mean, it just, it's going to be a new day, and I'm going to see what God has for me, and I'm going to stop saying no to opportunities that make me scared.
So this is your challenge for the new year, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not, people say, well, you're going to be open to dating. I'm like, not that open. I mean, if God
I have a
brings
response
it.
for that, but I'm probably not going to put that on recording.
Yeah. If God brings it, I will embrace it if I know God brings it.
When I was growing up, I always said that God would have to slap me with a neon sign for me to find the right person in the first place.
Right.
And I kind of felt that when I met Jim. I kind of felt like, oh, there's that. Like, you just had that moment. So it'd have to be another, like, God smacking me with a neon sign for me. God would have to be like, take me by the hand. This is your person. Like, there you are. But I'm not going to find that person sitting on my couch. So I'm not looking, obviously. And I'm not worried about it because I think we're good. The only men I need are the dogs I take care of.
My friend said, she said, I thought about you the other day. And I said, why? And she said, well, they went to this ham auction. And this guy shows up in a helicopter. And she goes, he didn't have a ring on. And I said, well, I always said if God drops him out of the sky, I didn't mean in a helicopter, but, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful that my friends want me to go on with my life in that way. And God may lead me to that. I can't see it. Like I said, I've had my unicorn, and he's one of a kind.
Yeah, I feel that way too. Like, I feel like it would be hard not to, and I know that people say you don't compare, blah, 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 and I get that, but it would be hard not to.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm that noble of a human being that I could not compare. So to those who do,
that's how you're
kudos
gonna know.
to you people, but I just don't know if I could do it.
I think that's how you're going to know
great.
God's in it. I think you're going to see a supernatural move of God, and
that's the only way I would know.
And I don't, it would happen. It would have to happen like it does in the movies for me to know. He gets my phone number, and he thinks it's his dead girlfriend's phone number, or he painted a portrait of me when he was 15, and I'm the portrait. I don't know. Something like that would have to happen.
So, if you're needing some writing prompts for your romance novels, Gina's got you covered right here. She can give you ideas.
Well, I'll tell you something. That's something else that we talked about. We were talking about what we're going to do in the new year. I've got a friend that's actually become my friend. I've known her a while. Tim knew her, and she's become my patient, and we've become friendly. And God has led me to almost I won't say I'm a mentor for her, but I feel like I want to mentor her.
There you go.
In some things, but she has some people in place that she feels like can help me publish my books.
Okay, that's exciting.
And so I've set a goal for myself. I've turned my children's book over to an illustrator that's a friend, and I want to see what she can do with it. And if she doesn't feel comfortable, then I'll have to find somebody. Right. But I wanted somebody that knew Tim to be in the project because I feel like that's best. And so this lady said, I'm staying on you. We're going to get it done. And our goal is to have it done by Brass Band, which is in June.
Right.
So I can do the gallery hop.
There you
Now,
go.
whether it'll get done, but that's a goal, the children's book part. Right. So that's something I want to do for the new year.
All right. You heard it here first, so she's
I know. Stay on me, people.
Let's stay on her.
Somebody needs to send us some messages back on this thing.
Right, to say, hey, Gina, how's that book coming?
Well, what about you? You've been wanting to write a book.
Oh, my goodness. Mine's at an impasse right now, but I think... I don't know. I think about it. I've also been thinking about other ideas too, so we'll see.
Maybe you need to share with me your topic of your book, and I can give you some inspiration.
I can let you read what I've got written so far. I need to find a doctor to get some help. I think I might need
all right, there you go. I know some doctors.
Anyway,
all right. Lest we digress. I'm going to stay on her, people.
Do you expect anything else? We get a little sidetracked here.
Yeah. Well, you said what we
we were talking about our New Year's plans.
Looking back and looking back, we've done some really good topics. Do you have a favorite that we've done, Kendra?
I don't know if I do. I think we both talked about that. We really liked the topic with Ann Yeager with the funeral home. We learned a lot about the process of cremation and burial and all of that. And we do still want to have maybe her or someone else like her come back on and do a topic on actual funeral planning, right?
Yeah.
So that's a topic that we want to cover in the new year. We also want you mentioned money and finances.
Finances.
That's a topic we still want to cover in the new year. So if you're somebody who is in that world that would be interested in coming on and talking to us, because we both know, I myself I made some. I probably spent more than I should have that first year. I think we all do. I think it's natural. You're in that fog and
you're comfort spending.
You're kind of comfort spending a little bit because you're trying to make yourself feel, I don't know, better in a way. I don't know if that's the right terminology there, but your comfort spending some. So we definitely want to talk about that. We're talking to local law enforcement, trying to line up someone to maybe do a safety conversation, because we do want to have, we talk about tips for feeling safer, safer in your home, safer online.
Well, and how not, and combining those finances with safety, how not to let people take advantage.
Take advantage, yeah. Maybe we can get some more tips for that for other people.
Something big girl I did at my mother's insistence. I now have a headstone for me.
Oh, see, and that's something I have to work on.
Well, it's too, and what Ann Yeager said, when I have not seen it yet, but just the drawing of my name in stone,
it's hard,
and his name in stone, and in classic fashion of our family, we are cheap, and so we shared a headstone because we're going to be. Right. We have 2 plots. My mother does not want to be cremated. Right. She wants to be buried. But
everybody else in your family's been cremated.
Yeah, my dad will be in her casket with her, and then Tim and I will be side by side in urns in the grave next to her, which we didn't really need a grave, but we got to go somewhere.
Right.
And I don't want to end up back on Ann Yeager's shelf.
You don't end up on the side of the road because somebody dropped you out the car. Bless it.
Yeah, I don't want to end up in the closet and have my niece take me back to the funeral home, so.
We don't know who this is. We found them in the closet with no label. We don't want that to happen.
I think that's been...
and if you didn't listen to that episode...
Go back and listen.
You should go back and listen to that episode.
Because my cousin said that was her favorite episode. She said I felt like I was listening to a true crime podcast.
It was fantastic. We said we were going to start
I hate to say that we had a good time in the funeral home, but, if you can't laugh at it...
We need to check in with Ann Yeager and see if she's getting on that true crime podcast yet.
That would be really good. But I think that was probably one of my favorites. Of course, I love talking about my husband. That's probably my favorite. Is when we talked about our spouses. If I share one with somebody and I want to get them hooked, I share our conversations about our spouses, how we met. That's how I get them hooked.
I think as far as a goal for the year, I do need to work more on the headstone thing. It's very hard.
It is. And I didn't know. We just put "in Christ alone" at the head.
I have an idea of what I want on the stone. I just need to put pen to paper and try to sketch it out myself, or see if I can get someone else to do it. I'm an okay artist. I'm not a great artist, so I don't know if I can do justice to what I have in my head.
Well, they can do. I tell you, we got ours in Harrodsburg, and I have to say, they're very reasonable.
And that's the other part. I have to find a place, because I tried to reach out to one, and via email, and they couldn't. They weren't exactly helpful, and I need to start. I have some money put aside, but I'm sure I don't have enough put aside.
Our lady was super helpful.
And
we went with kind of a design that my grandparents had on their stone, because they're going to be next to us, and my mother designed it. I didn't really care.
Right.
Because I'm going to be gone.
That's valid.
And I'm not going to go visit Tim there because he's with me. But you got any big plans besides writing that book? Any big plans for 2026?
I would say that's one of my plans, is to try to work on the darn headstone thing again, because it's just stressing me out. I really do need to just sit down and do it.
If I thought about putting something on the back of it, like I always loved it when I said we did a lot with our dash. What do you do with your dash? And I want to say because we all, me, my mom, my dad, my husband, we all have done a lot with our dash. But
maybe you could put a quote about the dash.
Yeah, I may do that, but she said you can always add that later, and that might count.
Make the dash count.
Make the dash count. Yeah, live your dash.
Live your dash.
Live your dash. But it was something we did, and like I said, my mother pushed it because she wanted. That was the last thing that she needed to worry about for her to feel comfortable with when the time goes that she passes. Everything's planned.
Well, it's a big thing. So
I told enough people how I want it to go that I don't really care what they do. If they have a big party or whatever, I hope they eat. Because I would really want food. But
throw a party.
Yeah, something like that. But
have Gina's favorite foods.
Yeah, I want something. Give me some. Have some cake, ice cream. But
it's a birthday party.
Yeah. There was a girl. There was she's on like the Talk or the Chew or one of those shows. It's not The View, but her husband died back during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And she said every year on her husband's anniversary's death, she has a birthday party for him in heaven. That the first day he
Yeah.
went to heaven.
That's nice.
And I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah.
And she, like, he was like an actor and like on Broadway or something. And I thought that was neat. So maybe
that's what
hopefully I'll go. Like I said, I just
So
hope I'll
when you
go.
go, you want us to have a birthday party for you.
Please do. Please do
Your
celebrate.
favorite cake.
German chocolate.
Have a
Get
German
it.
chocolate cake.
Yep, have that. I like it. But that's good. But yeah, we got some
Oh,
good
Anything
things.
sweet would be my. You can just have anything with sweets, and you got me.
Well, we talked about too that you and I both, we are widows, but we don't know what the male perspective is
Yeah.
on being a widower.
Yeah.
And
So we may try to
Talk to somebody.
talk to somebody and bring on a widower to give
Yeah.
some perspective, or see, I don't know. We also want to maybe bring on somebody in therapy, either
Mm-hmm.
like a grief share counselor or somebody that does grief counseling, and perhaps get a little bit of their
Uh-huh.
perspective about. We've talked about self-care and therapy a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge proponent of therapy. I've said that several times,
Mm-hmm.
several
Yeah.
times in this. I think everybody could
Yeah.
stand from a little therapy, whether you're going through grief or not. But we want to actually bring on somebody who's
Yeah.
who's trained to talk about this a little
Mm-hmm.
bit more, to offer the perspective on it. Of
sometimes it needs to be maintenance. I mean, it's like I used to say to Tim about marriage counseling. Let's not wait till we need it to do it.
Right.
Let's do marriage enrichment. So, when you think about grief, get on it early. I mean, you may not really need counseling, but if you that's kind of what I did. I got on it early and said, because I think one of my bosses is the one that brought it up. He said, "Have you ever thought about grief counseling?" I was like, "Do you think I need counseling?" Because I was resistant to it at first. I said, if
think
y'all think I
everybody
need
needs
it and I'm stuck somewhere, then definitely. But then I just kind of said, maybe I'll just go do this. And I did.
I don't think it's so much for if you get stuck, personally. I started going because I needed an outlet outside of, my friends are great, my family's great, but I needed someone else that I didn't necessarily feel like when I talked to them, it would somehow cause them to worry more about me.
Right.
And I love my friends and my family, but, I don't want to make them worry about me more.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to do that. And I also wanted to just be able to get a perspective from somebody else, am I handling this well, objectively speaking? Like, what am I, and so I still have weekly, try to have about weekly sessions with my therapist. But you were talking about that, about marriage counseling, about grief counseling. I heard something in a video over the weekend, and they were specifically talking about marriage counseling, but I think it applies to any sort of therapy. And it was something that said, it was something about, to the extent of, you should go before the cracks start to show.
Yeah.
Because once the cracks begin to show, then you've almost waited too long.
Well, it's like exercising your faith in Christ.
Yeah,
If you
so you
if you
need
don't prepare for the onslaught,
Yeah.
then you can't go and say, I'm going to read up on this once it
Right.
happens.
Right. So it's better, it's better to get connected to that resource and just go every once in a while, and just because there are always things going on in our lives that stress us out, that worry us, whether it's grief, whether it's just life, whether it's financial issues, whether it's, anything. We all, sometimes it's just that last thing that just pushes us over the edge. And so I personally think that therapy can help everybody.
Well, it's funny because our pastor said one time there's a scene in one of my favorite movies, Taken, Liam Neeson, and this guy's taking his daughter, and he gets on the phone. He says, "I don't know who you are, I don't know what you want, but if you let my daughter go now, there'll be nothing. But if you don't, I have a very special set of skills, and I will hunt you down, and I will kill you."
Right.
And he said, that wouldn't have had the same effect if he'd have said, "I don't know who you are, but I'm going to go get a book, and I'm going to read up on this, and I'm going to come after you, and I'll get ready to tackle what's going on." And that's what you're saying with the counseling.
Right.
It's too late, in a way, once the crisis is hit. We need to have something to help us have the material to
Right.
fight the crisis. We know crisis is
Right.
going to come.
Right.
We know people are going to pass away. We know we're going to have struggles. We know we're going to have dark days. I'd like to say I'm never going to have a thought of anything negative. Like, I'm not going to ever have a suicidal thought. I'm never going to. But, you don't know what life's going
Right.
to throw at you. And so having that therapy to prepare you for it.
Right.
I probably need to go back to therapy. I miss my therapist.
I think it helps you build those foundations. Helps you build some stronger foundations and maybe kind of
Yeah.
undo some things that you've built incorrectly and correct that so that when things come down the road you're better prepared.
Yeah.
I do think like I said, I think it helps. I'm very pro therapy. Therapy all around.
Well, and I think this Christmas I got some bad news about an uncle that's fighting a brain tumor, and I think that's brought a lot because he's one of my husband's favorite people on the planet, and now my family's fighting, how to make decisions about things that I had to make decisions about with my mom, about my dad. I'm thankful that I didn't have decisions like that to make about Tim. He was gone in an instant. When I look, there's no good way.
Right, there's no good way, but I understand what you're saying as
Yeah.
far as my husband would have, the way he went is the way he would have preferred to
Right.
go if he had to choose to go one way or
So
the
to
other.
speak, he went out with a bang. I mean, that's,
Yes.
I mean, that's what Tim
I'm
would
sorry, I
said.
shouldn't laugh, but if you knew me and my husband,
Yeah.
you know our sense of humor. You know that's just how we live.
I mean, he would,
That's how we cope.
he would have hated being needy. He would have hated being cared for. If he, at one point in time, they thought maybe he'd had a stroke, and they thought maybe they could bring him back around. And of course, my only prayer was, please, 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 please. That's all I could think to say. But then
Right.
the
I think
afterthought, I
that's what
thought, if he'd have lived with a stroke and been impaired,
he would have been unhappy.
yeah.
Very
I mean, there's a certain level of impairment, but I said if he was totally dependent, he
Right.
would have.
Jim always said he never wanted somebody else to have to wipe his behind.
Yeah.
I'll clean up the language, but that's basically what he said.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I think about my husband he's a pretty good sized dude, and
Yeah. My
and
husband was a very good-sized dude.
when somebody is, for lack of a better word, dead weight, he would joke sometime, and he would lay in bed in the mornings. He'd go, "Get me out of bed," and I'd be like, try to get him out of bed. I said, "That's not something to joke around," but he would just, it was playing. He was like, "Oh, get me
Right.
out of bed."
Right.
And he would be dead weight, and I'd be like, "There's no way I could get you out of bed."
Right.
And so I know there was no way I could have ever gotten him out of bed if he was totally dependent.
Right.
And so but that's brought all kinds of new grief.
Right.
It's like I'm re-grieving,
Yes.
and like we talked about in one of our episodes with Gretchen, anticipatory grief. I'm grieving for my family, and I'm grieving for my aunt because I know what she's gonna feel,
Yeah.
and there's nothing I can do to save her from that.
Right.
And and I know what my cousins are gonna feel, and that was the one thing I said after Tim died. I just keep praying for Jesus to come back because I don't want anybody to ever feel this.
Yeah.
And I think that's something I thought about this morning. I said, it's a verse in the Bible that says, "Oh Lord, how long? How long am I gonna really? How long are you gonna keep me here on this earth?"
Well, and as I mentioned that cousin of mine before, he and I had this conversation over Christmas about we're here for a plan and a purpose. And this goes back to what you said your goal, what was it you said you wanted to do for 2025? Release the sorrow or give your sorrow over to God,
Yeah,
right?
just
Maybe that's part of it. Is there's a plan,
Surrender
there's
my
a
sorrow.
purpose. We don't know what exactly our plans and our purposes are. I kind of feel like this podcast is a little bit of our purpose.
Yeah,
like,
I think it's been healing.
I don't know if it's healing anyone else, but I think it's been helpful for both of us to have a chance to share this and share our story, and hopefully you guys are finding this healing and helpful, and it's helping you find a way to reach the people that who are grieving.
Yeah, maybe you'll pay it forward. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Even if you're not grieving, maybe somebody is going through this, and it's helping you connect with them.
I went somewhere this weekend and somebody's had just lost their spouse very recently, and we thought this person was going to be at this gathering, and a friend of mine said, we don't want to bring it up. And my first thought was,
That's not right.
Yeah, you want to bring it up. I mean, you want to bring it up in a special way. I mean,
You don't want to be like the center of the conversation and be weird about it.
But you want to rally around that person. Now, maybe not in a gathering like that where the person doesn't know you, but the people that know. The first advice I gave, I said, for the people that know that person, they need to talk openly about that
Yeah.
person. Let them know they're not forgotten. Let them know they'll never be forgotten. Let them know how much they were loved. That's the most comforting.
that
Not to
person-
just not talk about them.
If a story comes up and that person's part of it, tell the
Yeah.
story because it makes you feel better.
And
And
I
don't
noticed-
make it arbitrarily everything about that missing
Yeah.
person because that makes it worse.
Mm-hmm.
And don't completely not talk about that missing
Right.
person, but let things flow and just
Yeah, I
try
noticed
to
one-
treat them as normally as possible.
Yeah.
And
And I noticed one of the gentlemen that was there was this gentleman's best friend, and he openly talked about him, and I thought that's the way you got to do it.
that's the way you got to do it.
That's the only thing that keeps them alive. If you just shut them out,
It's as if they
I
never
wouldn't.
existed.
If somebody never mentioned Tim, I got a message last night. A friend of mine said that she was tucking her little boy into bed, and their dog had died. They had to put their dog down. And he
That's
said.
sad.
He said, the first thing I'm going to do when I get to heaven is I'm going to go pet my dog, and I'm going to go to the tennis courts and find Tim, and I'm going to go to Leprechaun Land and find Graham, their great-grandma. And I thought, it's just so sweet that a kid just says that off the,
Yeah.
about when they hear heaven.
They think this is
They
what
think of
people I
Tim.
love. Yeah.
Yeah, and my other friends, they had to put their dog down a couple of days ago,
Gosh,
right
that's a
before
tough-
Christmas.
That's
and
a tough time of year.
I know it's terrible, and they thought the dog was just going to go ahead and pass on its own, but their little girl was hugging the dog and said, "It's okay, Katie, you can go to heaven with Timmy."
Oh.
And I thought, just that's little kids remembering 4 years down the road that he's and they know where he's at.
And that's the impact he's had. And also, that's probably because you guys have talked about him. They know it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's if we teach people nothing else, I think that's one of the biggest lessons that I wish people could learn is that it's okay to talk about them.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that keeps their legacy alive. It keeps their memory alive. It makes it helps them exist in a world where maybe they don't physically exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then by not talking about them, it's like we're wiping away their existence,
Right.
and we don't want that.
Yeah. So I guess in
continue-
2026, that's
continue
what I'll
on.
continue to do is try to physically put my book together and surrender my sorrow, physically put my book together so people remember Tim, and carry on with you whatever messages you want to carry on to this podcast.
Yep, we'll have to figure out what we want to carry on.
Yeah, maybe we'll get a sponsor and we'll get rich.
Right.
No.
I don't think we'll get rich, but we could get a sponsor to at least buy me a cup of coffee.
Yeah,
Buy you a tea and me a
Starbucks
cup of
before,
coffee.
yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Or, buy at least pay for our streaming
Yeah,
here a little bit. That'd be nice.
we're so grassroots. Yeah, but we really would love to hear if anybody listens to this. If they just comment, I'd love to
Yeah.
know somebody and share it with your friends because every day somebody loses a spouse and somebody might not be ready to hear it just yet, but you may be encouraged to start writing or start sharing. And if you want to be a guest, reach out to us.
Yeah. If you have a perspective to offer,
Mhm.
if you're
Yeah,
one of
we'd
these,
love it.
these topics that we mentioned that we're looking to cover down the road, and you can provide some commentary for that, or if you think of a good topic,
Mm-hmm.
and reach out to us. We really want to hear that.
We are not the experts.
I don't. As far as 2026, gosh, it's hard to say that. 2026. I don't know exactly yet what my goals are. I'm always really bad about. I don't generally set a lot of resolutions because I don't always have great follow through.
Yeah, I don't do.
Just
yeah.
more writing, I guess, is always to write more.
Right.
And to get more organized. Those are always the things
I
I
hear ya.
try to do. Because those are always the things I struggle with the most, I think. And just savor life. That's
Yeah,
part of,
That's Seven Life is a good one.
enjoy a few more sunrises and sunsets. And those have been on my mind a lot lately. That might be a blog post in the next week or so about some sunrises and sunsets.
Well, I think too. A couple of weeks ago in church, they challenged us, "Who's near to you but far from God?" And I think over and over, I thank God that I was brave enough to share Jesus Christ with my husband, or he would not be in
Right.
eternity where he is now. I don't think. I mean, I don't know, but I don't think he was a Christian, And now that I know where he is, and I know that I know, my goal is to share Christ with the people who are nearest to me that I don't think have Jesus. And some of them are resistant. I just have to pray, but that's a goal for the New Year's. I want to make heaven crowded.
It's a good goal.
I think it can handle everybody that we can take, but that's my goal. And that, as Forrest Gump would say, and that's all I got to say about that.
I think that's a good goal as well. I just want people around me to know that I care about them.
Yes.
I'm not always great at expressing that, and that if somebody needs somebody to care about them,
we care about them.
I'm here for you. I can be your virtual aunt. Don't go to the AI. Come to the real person.
Yeah. No AI.
I'll give you hugs from a distance.
Yeah.
But yeah.
If you need us, we're here. We are real
here.
people.
We are.
And with real struggles and not perfect, but
and we hope that you find a little calm and a little peace in this year end that we are coming to, and that January can start with a little of that calm and peace.
Agreed.
I always feel like I'm always just trying to catch my breath, and so I hope that we can all just catch our breath a little in January. And
I agree. Just feel like we can get ahead, maybe.
Enjoy the peace that is January. I wish that for you all, a calm and peaceful 2026.
That's right.
If there's anything else that we can, I think we've about hit it.
See you on episode 21.
Yeah, we hope that you'll come back for 21. And
that's right.
Send us any
and
ideas.
Happy New Year.
Yes. Happy New Year. So long to 2025.
Bye.
This has been Can't Find My Brain for the Fog, a discussion on love, loss, and life after with Kendra and Gina. We would love to continue the conversation with you, so join us on Facebook or Instagram, or leave us a comment here on Spotify. Give us some feedback on what we could do to improve, if you have any ideas for future topics, and more. We appreciate each and every one of our listeners for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.